Chapter 1, the GIS190 Essential Skills. Hi, Joe Cerrone. I'm going to go through Chapter 1, downloading shapefiles and using essential ArcMap tools. This is for Introduction to GIS Technology, CAD 190. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prepare a location to save our data into. And so what I'll do is I will right-click on the Start button, open Windows Explorer, and I'm using an external hard drive. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to that external hard drive. And what I've done is I've installed the software from the textbook CD into a directory called Esri Press and another subdirectory called GIS190. And then what I've done is to create a folder called Joe's Content. And what you're going to want to do is something similar, where you'll be able to use the content from the textbook, which is organized by chapters, as well as be able to go out and get some of your own content. And you need to be able to path to those directory sources. And so in order to do that, what you can do is you can right click and you can say New Folder, and then we could say and I can create a secondary folder if I wanted to put data in. So that's an essential part of being able to work with this lab. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and locate some shapefiles. And shapefiles are put out by the government, the Bureau of Census. And what we will do is we will start an internet session. In the URL, we will type www.census.gov. Once we get to the United States Census Bureau web page, we're going to click on Geography, and we're going to select Tiger Products. And Tiger Products are topologically integrated geographic encoding and referencing files. Essentially, these shape files are used to give you the boundaries of states and the shapes of different geography. We're going to select Shapefiles, and we're going to go with 2013. We'll select Download, Web Interface, and when it asks us for a layer type, we're going to go and we're going to choose Counties and Equivalent. We'll select Submit. We'll download that file into the directory that we just created. And so here's the file that I will be downloading, and what I want to do is to navigate to the location I just set up. And we're going to save the file there. Now it looks like it's not doing anything, but what it's doing is it's going through and saving that information. I'm using Internet Explorer. It's going to tell me what the progress is for that. Now it's downloaded this as a zip file, which means that the data has been compressed. And so we will need to unzip that information. But before we unzip it, we're going to go and hit the back arrow twice, and we're going to get some more data. The next type of data that we're going to select is going to be places. We'll say Submit. And what we want to do is download the state that we are in. And so this course is being taught at Oakton Community College in Skokie. And so what I'll do is I will download the Illinois shapefiles. Again, I'm going to locate those in my directory that I created. It will come in as a compressed zip folder. Once it's saved, I'm going to open the folder and I'm going to unzip these files because I won't be able to see them in ArcMap. And so what I can do is I can double click on that and I can say Extract All Files, and I'll extract them to the location that it gives me. And I'll close that, and then I'll navigate back one, and I'll do the same thing for the other files. and I'll extract those as well.
Man, you're really making a smile.
Returning. So now that I have downloaded these files, what I can do is to minimize these and go into ArcMap. And so I'm going to hit my Start button. I'm going to say ArcMap 10.0, 10.1. And it gives me my recent files that I've created. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Cancel here. And we'll take a look at the interface a little bit here. It's your standard Windows interface with File, Edit, View, Bookmarks. But for the beginning of this class, what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on the lab components. We'll create another video that goes through some of the interface applications. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on this button right here, which is to add data. And what we need to do here is to select this button, Connect to Folder. When we work with ArcMap, what we need to do is to be able to set this up so that it finds the data that we have downloaded. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate over to my folder that I created, and in my GIS190 I've created more of my content, and I'm going to OK that. And now we can see a couple of the files that we are going to be using. And so now that I have set the path to those files, I can go through and add the shape files for this exercise. And so what we're going to do then is to go and we're going to select the U.S. counties, and if we double click on that we can get the U.S. county shape file, and we'll add that. And so what it's done is it's brought in the United States, and we're going to go get another file. We're going to go get add data, and we're going to go up one level, and we're going to go to places, and we're going to get the cities. And if we start to work with some of the navigational tools, we can select this zoom in button, and we can click the left mouse button and we can pan. If you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, and most computers do now, that's really the best way to go. You can turn the wheel on the mouse and we can locate the areas that we want to download. And what we have here is the Illinois cities and the counties. So we have our data now, our shape files, and we have the cities in Illinois. We can take a look at some of these other applications. We can use a full extent zoom, or we can turn the wheel on the mouse, zoom and pan. Some of the other tools that we can use, another useful tool is this pointer, which really doesn't do anything other than to unselect some of the other information. We can come into our shape files and we can click on this identify button, and if we click on one of these city areas, it will come back with that data. So here's Marengo. Close that information out. We'll take a look at the table of contents here, and this is where it keeps our layers that we are using. Some of the things that we can do is we can enable or disable whether we see a layer by clicking this check mark and unclicking it. We can also change the color. If we click in this box here, I could change this to this color here. That's a little too bright. Let's go back. Map layers are read in the order they are in the table of contents. And so if we were to go and drag this map layer on top of this one, it will cover over our cities. And so we want to be able to layer them in the correct order. We can set transparency rates and things like that on that as we get better with the software. Some of the other things that we're going to want to do is to take a look at the naming conventions. We're going to rename this, and so what we're going to do is we'll start off by renaming this counties. And so I'll do a slow double click on that, and I'll say US Counties 2013. And a slow double click. US Cities 2013 to make that a little bit easier to read. And as we get into some of the other mapping functions, those will be the legends that are shown. Understanding shapefiles, step number 8. Shapefiles contain two things, the map and the underlying data table. So far we've looked at the map as part of the shapefile and used the identifying tool to understand the data within that. The other way that we can view this data is by looking at the attribute table. And so what we're going to do is right click on US Counties, and we're going to open up this attribute table. And this is the FIPS code, which is the Federal Information Processing Standards, which the U.S. Census Bureau uses to sort this information. If we right click on state and sort ascending, we can get it to sort these FIPS codes ascending. And what those codes are is for the different states. And what we can do is we can go out and we can Google our FIPS code for Illinois, and so we can say FIPS Illinois, and what it's going to come back with is that our FIPS code is 17. So we're going to return to ArcMap, and what we're going to do is we're going to export that to a shapefile and use that as a layer. And so what we will do after we have sorted these in ascending order is to scroll down to 17 and we'll click on this button right here, and then we will scroll down to the last value, which will be the last county, and I will hold the shift key and select that. I'll hit the X here, and what you will notice is that it's outlined all the counties. The next thing that we're going to do is we can kind of zoom out a little bit. Is we're going to export this as a shapefile. And so we will right click, we will left click on data, we will say export data, and we will export this to our subdirectory, and I'm going to name it with my initials, and I'm going to OK that. It's going to ask me if I want to export it as a map layer. I'm going to say yes, and you'll see that it has now exported my shapefiles out. And then what I can do is I can toggle off the cities, or the entire US, and then I can relayer these so that I have a map of Illinois with my cities. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to save the project. We're going to go to File, Save As, and we're going to put it in our Content folder. And I'm going to name this with my initials. The book says to name it My State, but I think I'm going to change that, and I'm going to say Chapter 1. And I'm going to save that as an ArcMap document, and I'm going to click on Save. Now when we turn these files in, we're going to turn them into D2L, and we're going to use a PDF editor to do that. And I'll go through in the next exercise and show you how to export those maps. So this is the end of Chapter 1.